Welcome back, everybody. Today's video, or at least this video in particular, I'm going to go over Epic Game Store really quick again. We're going to start our new project in Unreal Engine, and you are going to need something called GitHub. We're going to use GitHub to share files, so this way I can try to upload some files, and then you can download them and hopefully use them in your project as well. We'll try to use that. For this to work, we'll all have to be on the same exact Unreal Engine version up here. So I need to know which version is the one that you are all able to download. If it's only 4.26, then I will install 4.26. Right now I'm only running on 4.231. These are the ones that are allowed to me. I don't know why I can't understand why I can't get any more engine versions. I can't get 4.25 for some reason. So if this is yellow, mine's grayed out right now. If this is yellow, same as these are right here, you can click that and it should show extended. It should show other versions that are available to you. Mine's grayed out, so it doesn't allow me to add anything to that. So what we're going to try to do is hopefully then maybe I can add one of these packs onto the GitHub server and then you can download it. So that's the idea behind that. So for GitHub, I believe it's just github.com. I'm already signed in here, it looks like. So if you go to github.com, this over here. Maybe this will. I'll probably still bring up the same page actually. Yeah. Anyway, there should be a thing for create a new sign in. Create a new account, and then you can sign in from there, and then download the desktop version of it as well. Because what will happen is I have to set it up on my end, but I'll set up a way for you, and I'll send you an email link for you to sign up for it, and I'll let you know when I have that set, if I'm able to get it all accomplished. So for today, try to download the GitHub desktop. Let me know which version of Unreal you're using. If there's only one available to you, then obviously just use that one. I just need to know which one so I can install it. If it's 24 or 26. Close that. So in Unreal Engine, open the engine. If you have the desktop, just open it there. It'll bring up projects and then new project. So you're going to start a new project. This one I'd like for us to do a first person. This way we start off with a gun. Move around, interact immediately. If you want to use the Unreal Tournament Editor, you can, if it's working okay for you. For me, it wasn't allowing me to change geometry easily. It would change the box, but not the actual box. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's a little odd. So I figure we'll try to use GitHub. And I have some AI stuff that we can throw in there. But if you can get the Unreal Tournament Editor working and you're able to create the BSP, which is like the geometry and all that, if that's working okay for you, go ahead, feel free to use that. There are a few things in there like jump pads and teleporters in there. They might be a little hard to use at first. You have to get used to however they're set up, and they're all extremely different, but it has built-in blueprints for that, so that's one of the advantages. That's why I wanted to use that originally. But we'll create a new project, and that'll all be uploaded onto the GitHub. So you shouldn't have to do this. You'll just download the GitHub file, and then put it on your computer, and then we'll work off of that one. But we're gonna be working off the first person one. If you want to create a new project just to get used to first person and get into it, feel free to. You're going to want to name your project. You want to make sure you select which file or folders is going to. Sorry about that. I'll just put mine on a C drive for now. It has to be on an SSD drive, otherwise it'll take extremely long to load. So if you have an SSD drive, make sure it's on that. You can put, of course, files and folders and stuff on USB drives if you want to share them, but you're going to want to put it on a dedicated drive. So I'll just name this test folder. Just name that test.1. Now you can start with the starter content if you want. Give you some stuff in there. Create project. Depending on how fast your computer is, it should load up pretty quick because there's nothing in here other than the starter content. As soon as you hit play in here, you should have a gun. So if you don't see this, make sure you clicked on first person. First person, remember, doesn't have a actual character mesh, just the arms and the gun, and then there's two of them. So when the character crouches, actually I don't think they have a crouch. They might not have a crouch built in. Project settings will be in here. Under edit, and there's editor preferences, and then you have plugins. So if you have plugins from Epic Game, so these ones that say install the engine, that's a plugin. So a lot of times once you install it, you'll have to go into the plugins, and there's a thing up here called installed, and then you'll have to enable it. And it'll tell you must be restarted for plugins, restart now. So there's different things you have to do if you want to use a plugin. Maybe it was project settings. Don't know why I didn't come up with this one, but input under engine. This will tell you exactly what the buttons are doing. Whoops. So also here, if you want to add buttons, so right now we have jump, fire, we have a VR, so that's unnecessary unless you're using VR, so you could get rid of that and delete it. That's not a problem. Move forward, which is W and S. Obviously forward is also backwards. You just go in a negative direction. So if you notice you have a positive and a negative. Negative will make it so they go in the opposite direction. So like here you have move right, but you don't have move left. So they've just determined that A is going to make you go on the negative one on one axis, and it's going to go positive one on the other axis. And so D is going to make you go right. So that's how that works. So you have mappings, and then you have action mappings and axis mappings. So action mappings, you see jump, fire. Probably I think under action mappings, you'd probably put crouch. So if you want to add different movements or different actions and movements, you would do that here in the inputs, which is under project settings. So if you're looking at tutorials or something, you want to see why isn't this guy crouching or something? It's because it hasn't been put into the mappings yet. If you have something that you wanted to add to your map, you would add to project. But the problem is if we're going to be using GitHub, I don't want you adding any plugins or any of these packs, because if everybody's adding different packs, eventually it'll become overloaded and we won't be able to download anything from the project. So I will add the packs, but I just want to let you know this is where you're going to go if you want to install stuff to like any other projects you're working on. So, but I have all these packs, so I think in here replicated weapons, open world AI spawn system. So I will try to get this one put into our game. So then you can put your map in there and then you can test it. And, you can have AI coming at you or however you want them to spawn. So that's what we're going to try to do. For the rest of this week, make sure you have this stuff downloaded. GitHub desktop and a version of Unreal. Let's say I want to use either. I'm thinking we're gonna either have to use 4.23 or 4.26. I'm assuming most of you will have 4.26. So I'll try to set up a poll or something. Maybe we can do it that way. Let's see. Don't forget Marketplace. Check it. You have stuff that's free for the month, permanently free. So make sure you grab that stuff. All this stuff is free. So we have turn-based RPG, Castle. That's all free for the month. All right. And then you're going to start creating a first-person shooter map for this. So you're going to want to do your top-down drawing, just like we did for the 2D side-scroller. Let's see. So there's some Black Ops, Seatown. This one doesn't make sense though. Can't be from both Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2 most likely, unless they hadn't broken up yet. Then this one's all in German. So obviously this is a extremely big map right here, but let's look at it real quick. So when you're making a first-person shooter, especially in maybe like a multiplayer type map, you're going to want different cuts and angles. So you can move somewhat freely, but around the corner, another person can obviously pop out. So that's why you'll see a lot of, you see the up and down. So, people can go this way or this way. They could pass each other, not even notice it, but there's a lot of areas where your line of sight is very short, and then you turn the corner, which causes a good amount of confrontation. Same thing with like having this in the middle. It allows a little space to hide and protect yourself, but it's pretty open here. But it helps with creating a lot of conflict. So you can see all these small spaces that lead to this like kind of bigger open space right here. Not sure what that is in the middle there, if that's a beam or anything like that. It looks like it's outdoors. This map looks vaguely familiar. Put some color in it. But you have a lot of angles like where you don't have a very long shot necessarily, and if you do, like in this case, the person up here has the advantage with the height, shooting down. But it's a very tight angle because of the spacing right here. We got a lot of corners to turn. This looks like it is probably a little building that you get into. Got tight path right here that goes directly into a building, so you can't see anything, more than probably 20, 30 feet. And then you have a decision to make, left or right. These pathways are running into each other. This is an open area right here. So these two areas especially would probably be more of like spawn areas, I would imagine. And you'll probably be avoiding those as soon as possible. You go in here, it's a little bit open, but you can take cover. But what you can see they're doing is they're starting off with these big spaces where they're probably spawning you over here. Then they're bringing you in enclosed areas with constant turns. So even when you're moving, you're constantly looking around. You need to be observant. And it puts you in a certain mindset that anything's around the corner. So you have to be mindful and careful of which way you're going, but you also have to look behind you because anybody else can come around that corner as well from where you just came from. Because we have a lot of interweaving here. Now you can get stuck in here if you were to have people come from both sides. But there's so many different areas that a person could take, it looks like, that it's generally not going to happen. Let's see if we can find another one. Wish I knew which one this was from. Modern Warfare 3. This one has a little bit more long hallways. This will cause like a much bigger shootout, but it's that's kind of a dead zone for a player, so you don't want to get caught somewhere in there. See in the maps too that they have their elevation. They use stairs. So make sure when you're making your map, you point out that something's going up or down, and simply using stairs can help that. If you want to put, you don't need to put like all the tile and the material in there. So if you want to put, I like to put little arrows on mine to let you know if it's going up from one side to another. Like this is lower and maybe this is higher. Yeah, like this path right here is a very long, very open path. But it curves. You don't want a lot of straight lines because that gets very boring for the player. So like right here is straight, but it's very short and it curves. Down here is very straight for a good amount of time. I'm not sure if this goes in anything or this dead ends, or if it goes underneath maybe. into here. But that seems like a very long time for me to like be running straight, especially if there's no vehicles in the way. You're kind of a open sitting duck. So that would definitely be something I'm sure players avoid in this map if that's open. So that's not something you really want. You can see though, if you have a lot of these bends, you know, you're coming around the corner, somebody's running away or sees you, runs away, they're kind of hidden by that corner and that angle. So you want to be able to get those angles to help, I would say, make it a little harder for the player to get killed. Not necessarily to kill. Because you don't want people just constantly feeling like, you know, they're being spawned and hunted down immediately and killed if they're out in the open. So you want these things in place that allow the player to take a little cover, especially if they're surprised. Maybe if they take a bullet or two, they can still survive it or have at least a fighting chance. Everything that's too open will expose the player, and then they'll just feel like they're a sitting duck and that they have zero chance if they don't have the high ground. So that's why you're going to see a lot of these bending paths. So it looks like in this map too, like these are buildings, I guess. Looks like from the materials that they have laid underneath. So when you're building your map, you want to start building the map and get a good idea of like, okay, where are these paths going? How do they loop around? Things should connect. You don't want them to dead end. Like this is probably not a dead end. It probably goes underneath here, I would imagine. So you want the player to feel like he's able to freely flow, he or she, freely flow, and you can come in, still have choices, whichever way you decide to go. You know, right here, this is probably an area most players would avoid. You're kind of off in a corner alone, unless this is a big sort of fountain or something. It probably spawns players, and then you probably use your skill packs there that require you to be in one area or something. But yeah, you can see you're always getting options. At least here you have two options to get out there, another option to come up here. Now here is where this is a very long trail where there's really nothing going on. There's a little spot to hide, so you could get ambushed or ambush somebody there. But this for me it's probably a little too long. You know, once you get here, you're like, okay, I have to look over here, and I have to trek it all the way over here, and then this player is also kind of open because they're exposed. As soon as they come out, there could be somebody right on the stairs, or could be somebody coming right around this corner. So might want to avoid this type of situation too, or at least give them an alternate route. Maybe what I would do is try to create a path that opens this, so there's a way to cut through, and just kind of shorten that up. What you want to do last, though, is really probably come up with your theme, because the theme doesn't really matter if the map's not fun. So try to come up with a fun map, and then worry about the theme last. Okay, so I'm going to cut this video here. Looks like I've been talking for about 23 minutes, so that's right around the cap for these videos. So make sure you have Unreal Engine downloaded. If you've already started Unreal Tournament Editor and you like it and you've already used some stuff, that's fine too. But if you want to use everything else that I'm going to try to put up on the GitHub, if I can get it going, you'll have to use Unreal Engine. So make sure Unreal Engine's downloaded, GitHub's downloaded, and then so you have to create an account, and then you can download the desktop version as well. And we will go from there. Thank you.